Alrighty, guys, it feels like day by day we're getting a little bit closer, ever so slightly closer to understanding what this next James Gunn DCU project is going to be. We don't know what it's going to be called officially. We know basically everything it's not going to be called, but kind of what it is, because we've talked about this before. James Gunn, there's a whole timeline about this now. It feels like every week we're learning a little bit more about this project. And originally, we heard that James Gunn was writing a project that was going to be Superman related, or Superman was going to have a very important role, which is exciting based on Superman, the movie that came out this year. And then we heard about the fact that it was going to be a sequel of some sort, a follow-up, if you will. And then we talked about recently that David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers, came out and said it's going to be a super family movie. Not, again, I've just to clarify, super family meaning not super family friendly, but super family, like the Superman family of characters, I guess, if you will. And now, we've gotten yet another frustratingly small piece of that puzzle, because James Gunn was doing an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, and he's actually pretty far along in development of this project. So, hold your horses. We may not be getting Swamp Thing or The Authority ever, but we will be getting the fourth James Gunn DCU project before any of that happens, including, Creature Commando Season 1, Superman, Peacemaker Season 2, and then now this follow-up movie, because he's calling it a part of the Superman saga. So that doesn't really tell us anything, and that's not, that is the headline of this segment, I suppose, but it's really, the interesting thing is more of the timeline. So, doing the interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he says, quote, he says he's already finished the treatment for, quote, the next story in what I'll call the Superman saga. So, hold your horses. Again, it's not like Kevin Feige getting on stage and saying, this is the multiverse saga graphic. I think maybe James Gunn will do the exact same thing and call it the Superman saga within the DCU, within Gods and Monsters, the first chapter of the DCU. I think really it's more of just him saying, yeah, that's what I'll call it. It's more of a colloquial, casual term more than anything else. But we'll see. Maybe he'll, again, maybe at Comic-Con next year, he'll get on stage and be like, this is the Superman saga, and it has Superman 1, it has Super Family, Superman 2, Supergirl 3. I would think he would consider Supergirl a part of that Superman saga. So this is probably going to be the third film in that Superman saga. But he says, quote, the treatment is done, which means a very, very worked out treatment. I'm working on that and hopefully going into production on that not too far away from today. So again, and he said, I think he says later on at a certain point that he has a full treatment, which means that he's going to start writing the full script soon, because the treatment is not the script. The treatment, I think, is more of the story outline and the character arcs and things like that, and then he'll just go into writing the script, which is what I think he was alluding to a while ago when he said he was pre-writing his next DCU film. But what he says here, though, is interesting. He's going into production on this very, very soon. So really what we've seen thus far, because James Gunn, right, unlike Kevin Feige is not a filmmaker, Kevin Feige is not a director, Kevin Feige is not a writer. He is a film producer. And he's also the president of Marvel Studios. James Gunn is the co-CEO of DC Studios, yet he is also a writer-director himself. And the sense that I'm getting thus far, again, you can comment down below, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing for the DCU? You tell me. But James Gunn, the sense that I'm getting is, James Gunn, at a certain point in all of his project's development, or the DCU's development, is basically saying, you know what, if no one else is going to do it, then I'll just do it myself. Because look, he's in charge. He's the one in charge of approving and rejecting scripts, right? Because he's been saying, the DCU films, the DCU projects, the DCU shows and movies are not going to go forward unless I like the script. Well, cynically speaking, is James Gunn ever not going to like his own scripts? When it gets to a point where it's finished, right? Obviously, in the middle of it, who knows? But is James Gunn ever not going to like his own scripts? At a certain point, he's just going to make whatever he wants to make. And that's why you run into these things of, we're going to get a fourth James Gunn DCU project probably before Booster Gold, probably before The Authority, probably before Waller, probably before Swamp Thing, probably before Paradise Lost. So it is what it is, right? I've half jokingly said this first year, 2025, is the James Gunn cinematic universe and not really the DC cinematic, DC universe, whatever you're going to call it. And so I don't know. It is what it is. I'm interested to see if it's going to be a Superman Supergirl team up, which we speculated before. But the Superman saga is going to be continuing much sooner than we think. Maybe, again, we've talked about this. If he's writing the movie now, maybe 2028 isn't that unrealistic. Maybe even late 2027. We'll have to see about that. So guys, what do you think about this? The Superman saga. What do you think this movie is going to be? When do you think it's going to come out? Let me know in the comments down below.